All right, everybody. It's me, Angel Benton, and it is time for the first edition of a show I'm just going to call Storytime with Angel Benton, where I'm going to tell stories about my life. I'm not having this has nothing to do with television. I'm just going to lay it all out there, okay? So here's the thing. Some of you might know me from a little movie I did called Britney Baby One More Time. Some of you might know me from the time from from my work I did with the gay porn industry. I didn't actually do gay porn as a model. I was a marketer, but I was also, in front of the camera, doing interviews and stuff for people. And or you might know me as the former editor-in-chief of Just Us Boys magazine. You might know me from my Japanese television series I was on. So there's lots of different ways. So I'm going to basically talk about my career, but I really cannot do. You might even know me as that soap guy or that guy on YouTube that talks about television. But so here's how it all started. Okay, well actually, before we get into that, when I was a little kid, no, I wasn't a little kid. I was in high school, and I was addicted to the new Mickey Mouse Club on the Disney Channel. I loved it. I watched it every day. It was the best. And the last, I think maybe 2 years of the show, Britney Spears came on the show. Now, at the time, she was 11, and I was, no, she might have even been 10. I think she was 10 and I was 17, I think. And, the resemblance wasn't super strong. I mean, it was, but I mean, there was such an age difference that people were like, she looks like she could be your little sister. And I was like, yeah, she kind of does, doesn't she, But I didn't really think too much of it at that time. Although I did love J.C. Chasez. I loved J.C. Chasez. Oh my God, that was my first gay crush. I didn't really know what being gay, I mean, I knew what being gay was, and I wasn't really sure if I was or not, but I just knew that whenever he was on television, it made me feel funny, like I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And FYI, I was a very, very late bloomer with everything. I mean, I didn't even start going through, I'm serious, I did not start going through puberty until after I had already graduated from high school. So, I was prepubescent the entire time I was in high school, which presented its own challenges, but I'm not even going to discuss that time of my life because that is ridiculous. Okay, so I ended up getting a job at Disneyland, and which is, it might not have been the best paying job I've ever had, but it was the best job I've ever had. And I one day I hope to go back to the Walt Disney Company, and hopefully in some fashion where I can actually have a say over the entertainment there, but or maybe not. Maybe I'll work somewhere else in the Disney company, but I know that they're a fantastic company. And that's also how I learned all about corporate life, too, was at Disneyland. Okay, so I was a dancer, and, I was dancing in the shows, and then one year I went to Tokyo Disneyland. I could probably do a whole show just where I talk about Tokyo Disneyland, but I'm going to table that for now. I might do that in Japanese, though. That might be my first Japanese show. Might be talking about when I worked at Tokyo Disneyland. Okay, so I worked at Tokyo Disneyland, and while I was well, actually, right before I left. So when I went to Tokyo Disneyland, it was actually, we left actually, we were supposed to leave on my birthday, and we get on the plane, and they take us off the plane, and they say that there's been some issues, so they put us up in a hotel. I mean, like, not just us, every single person on that plane. They put us all up in a hotel for the night because they couldn't leave until tomorrow, until the next day. So now I had stayed up all night the night before so that I could sleep on the way to Japan. And then they canceled the flight, so then I had to stay up a second night in a row. Now, when I did finally end up getting on the plane and going home, I slept the entire time. Like, I fell asleep before we took off, and they had to literally wake me up and say we're here. So I slept for 11 hours. So you know, it was fine. That was the best flight ever. No pills or nothing. And there was certainly no booze. I didn't have my first drink until I turned 40, 4 years ago. So, you know, I didn't drink anything. Like I said, late bloomer. Not kidding. Okay. But right before I left for Japan, the Spice Girls had hit real big. Now, in Japan, when I was in Japan is when the Spice Girls' second album came out, Spice World. And at that time, I found out that a bunch of my friends had started a drag Spice Girls act called the Disney Princesses, but that's what their names were, but they did an all-drag Spice Girls act. And I thought that was cool. And then when I get back, they asked me if I want to join the group as Baby Spice, because the first two Baby Spices, I guess, one of them ended up not distancing himself completely from the entire group, and the other one went off and did his own solo thing, but he wasn't doing Baby Spice, so they're like, we need a Baby Spice. So I was like, okay, you know, because here's the thing. I've always been, you know, pretty, have, you know, fair features, I guess. You know, do I look 44? Don't say that. Don't answer that. I mean, I'm not technically 44, not yet, but this year I will be turning 44. Okay. So, you know, and I was a great dancer. And I can lip sync. I worked at Disneyland. You know, you think they sing in the parades? No, they don't. So I was like, yeah, sure, you know, why not? I'll try it. So I did drag, and I did Baby Spice. Big hit. Huge hit. Nailed it. People were thrilled, right? But then Ginger Spice left the Spice Girls. And I was like, oh, fuck. Well, there goes my drag persona. That was great, right? So, basically, I was, you know, just kind of cruising along. We did do one princess show, though, where we were all different various princesses, except I was not a princess. I was Megara from Hercules, because she is my favorite. And she is a goddess, not a princess. Snap. Actually, she's not technically a goddess, but at the end of the movie, she became one, whatever. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so next thing you know, it's maybe November of 98, I think, and I hear a song on the radio, and it's Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I love this song. This song is great. Then I saw the video. Now, this girl, who I you know, bore a slight resemblance to, she was like, I mean, she looked a lot like me now. And I was like, I've got my new meal ticket. This is it. So I started doing Britney Spears. And people were, you know, they loved it. It was a huge hit at the club we're at. You know what's funny, though, also, when I first started doing drag, I was doing drag with, for those of you that watch RuPaul's Drag Race, with Raja, who I think won season 3. So, you know, and actually way back then, I was like, she's something. You know, she's gonna be something she's gonna do something with her life. She's pretty fierce. And next thing you know, hello, she won the 3rd season of RuPaul's Drag Race. I mean, hello. So, anyways, moving on. Okay, so I started doing it, and then I hear on the radio, and now, okay, so at this time, I'm working at Disneyland, but I'm also being a tour guide at Universal Studios at the same time. I would do that in the mornings, then I would work 9 hours at Disneyland all day. So I literally was working close to 24 hours a day. But I mean, like, from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. So Britney Spears was doing her first tour. She'd released Baby One More Time. She'd released the second single sometimes, and I heard on the radio. And now, her first tour, it sold out, like, within minutes. Like, it was totally sold out. And I was like, I need something to, I mean, damn, I didn't even get the opportunity to get tickets. Well, on the radio, I heard that the radio station, Kiss FM, they were having a Britney Spears look-alike contest. And whoever won the contest would win tickets to see Britney Spears, get the opportunity to meet Britney Spears, and would have a free dinner. Well, that's exciting. I was like, I'm going to give it a try. So I told my backup dancers, and FYI, I was so fierce. My backup dancers looked like her backup dancers. That's how fierce I was. Not only was I a lookalike, but my dancers were lookalikes as well. So I told my two main backup dancers, and I was like, hey, we need to enter. And they were like, sure, why not? Because you win 4 tickets. So I was like, well, I'll bring you with me. So we go to, and it was in Glendale, which is where I'm from. So I was like, oh my God, I've totally got to do this. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't exactly out to my grandparents, who I was living with at the time. So what I did was I rented a hotel room. Actually, it was a motel room, but whatever, it was fine. And we all spent the night there so that we could get ready there and then go to do the contest. So we went to, so we do the hotel. We spend the night, we get ready the next morning, and I'm in full-on Baby One More Time drag, right? And I had that shit down. I had the skirt, the gray sweater, the white, that wasn't a t-shirt, the white dress shirt that was tied up so you could see my midriff, the black bra, and the only difference, though, was that, and I, like I said, ever since I started drag, I've known this. Heels are very important. Britney wore tennis shoes. I did not. I wore high heels. Now, they weren't like, they were like a chunky, heel, but, I still wore heels, right? I had the pink fluffy scrunchies. I had the pink ribbon. I paid so much attention, it's not even funny. So we show up, and we get there, and when we're there, we notice, first of all, we were the oldest people there. Now, I was only like 24 at the time, right? But, yeah, good Lord, that was 20 years ago. So, I was only 24 at the time, and all these kids were like 8, right? Now, nobody looked like Britney Spears. Not one person, There was one girl that looked like she could have, looked, close, and she sang just like Britney Spears. But here's the unfortunate thing. They didn't have her sing. It was not a sing-alike contest. It was a look-alike contest. She didn't even make it past the first round. I thought that was unfortunate. And another thing I thought was unfortunate for her was that she chose this, she had this green top and this black pants just like Britney did in the Crazy video, which had literally come out like the week before. And I was like, that's fierce, but not everyone is going to know that, whereas everybody knew Baby One More Time. So I did my thing. The dancers did their thing. We nailed it. We nailed it. And I won the contest, and I was very excited about that. It was real exciting. And I did all kinds of press. First of all, they didn't think I was actually a boy. They thought that I was a girl. I was like, no, not so much. And then I would kind of like show them my chest and be like, see, nowadays, who knows what gender anybody is, but I'm just saying, at that time, they couldn't believe that a guy had won the Britney Spears lookalike contest. And I swear to God, the next day I went to work, and my fucking ass was on the news every fucking hour, on every channel. That was exciting. That was cool. That was very cool. And I was real excited about the concert, because that was the main reason I did it, was to win tickets to her concert, which I did. Okay, so the day of the concert, the limo driver comes to pick us up, Okay, so the limo driver comes to pick us up, and we go to the concert, and it's me, my two dancers, and my friend David. So the four of us go to the concert, and they drop us, and the limo driver drops us off. And I'm just, now let me go back a little bit. Before I had gone to the concert, I had gotten a phone call from Extra, 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 the TV show that I think Mario Lopez hosts now. Back then, I don't even remember who hosted it back then. Maybe Maureen Dowd? I don't remember, but whatever. Someone hosted Extra, but I didn't talk to the host, so it doesn't really matter. But they were like, we want to interview you backstage at our concert. I was like, that's fine. Let me just, find me. I'll be pretty easy to spot. Well, so I'm sitting there waiting around backstage, and nothing's going on. There's nobody there, and the four of us are like, what is going on? And so this guy comes up to me, and he's like, we're ready for you now. And I was like, oh, this must be Extra. That's what I'm thinking, right? So he takes me into this room. Well, not this room. It's more like an area on backstage, because it was actually outdoors. And they sit me down, and they mic me, and they turn on the camera. And they're like, so, are you happy to be here? I'm like, are you kidding me? I am so excited. And they're like, where did you get your pink fluffy scrunchies? And I was like, oh, I got these in Japan, actually, the ones that I'm wearing now, because that's where I did buy them. And before I could really, but something seemed kind of off. I was like, I'm not quite sure what's going on. And I realized, oh my God, do they really think I'm Britney Spears? And before I realized that, her publicist comes out, and she throws a huge fit. She's like, that girl is an imposter. Get her out of here. And they escorted me out of and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, I was like, what is going on? I'm not quite sure. Well, it turns out that was not Extra. That was E! Entertainment Television. And they really did think I was Britney Spears. So instantly, I'm mortified. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening. The limo driver was waiting, we're outside of backstage, right? So they had me sit in the limo. And while I was sitting in the limo, all of these tour buses came by, because I was a tour guide. So all my friends were like, yeah, and there's Britney Spears, because they were like thinking it was cute, whatever. And then there's a big crowd coming around the limousine, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm mortified. I don't know what to do. And like, people are like, oh, can I get your autograph? And I don't know what to do, because I'm like, if I don't sign it, they're going to think Britney's a bitch, and I don't want to misrepresent her. But then I don't want to sign someone else's name. And I also don't want to crush these kids' dreams and be like, I'm not Britney Spears. You know what I'm saying? So I was totally like, I don't know what to do. So they let me go backstage again, but then the publicist finds me, and actually I went and looked for Wade Robson, because I had taken class from Wade Robson, and I was like, okay, well, maybe he'll know who I am, and he'll be able to assist me, right? Because he was her choreographer of that whole tour. And I was like, okay, he's going to be the one to actually help me out here. So he didn't. He sat on his fucking hands. So he was dead to me at that point. Oh my God, but wait. Before I did all of that, I did see, and this is really super important in my life, at least, that is where I met Steps. When I was living in Japan, I was all about the pop music, obviously, and this album came out, and there were these singers, and they were called Steps, because every single one of their songs had dance steps that went with it. And this line dancing pop band was just fucking incredible. They were so good. I swear to God, I wore the shit out of that. Step One was the name of the CD. Step One. I wore the shit out of that CD. Now, I get home to America, and they weren't released in America at that time, so no one knew who the hell they were. So they were just walking around backstage. No one knew who the fuck they were. But I knew who the hell they were. I was like, oh my God, you're Steps. I was so excited. I met all 5 of them. They were all super nice. The nicest to me that day were H, Lisa, and Faye. They were the best. And I met Claire. She was nice. And I met Lee. He was nice too. But they didn't really spend a whole lot of time with me. But the other three did. And we just talked and talked. And they were just the absolute most lovely people. And like I said, Claire and Lee weren't that bad either. Like, if I had to, even back then, if I had to spend time with anyone, I would rather spend time with the two of them than spend time with the bitch publicist. I'm just saying. Okay, so anyways, the publicist finds me again, and she's like, if you don't go take your seat, I'll take your tickets away too. What a fucking cunt. I was so pissed. I was pissed. So what I did was, so of course, okay, so then I was like, fine, whatever. So I went to go watch the show, and I probably should have just gone home because I was so irritated. It kind of did kill my buzz for the rest of the night. But I went to I went to go take my seat, and people were talking like, oh my God, she's watching her opening acts. Oh my God, she's coming out into the crowd. I'm thinking, oh my God. And I'm mortified the whole time. I'm like, okay. So I go and I end up watching the show, and then I end up going home, and I was really kind of irritated. I was really sort of pissed off about what had happened. And I was like, I can't just sit by and let this happen. So then I did something else, and I guess I don't really have too much time to talk about what happened. I didn't think, God, that 21 minutes, shit, that went by fast. Okay, so anyways, I just got thrown out of the Britney Spears concert. I guess I'll talk more about this in April. Okay, so I guess you'll just have to wait. Okay, thank you so much for logging on. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you all in April. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.